Hi, welcome to the Writer's Toolbox, and today we're looking at paragraph structure. Sometimes when you're reading, you can have a lot of ideas about the text, and when you put them down on paper, they become unorganized, unstructured, and jumbled. How do you overcome this? The answer? Keep your writing clear. In order for your writing to be clear, you need to have a claim, evidence, analysis, then relate your ideas back to the main point of your writing. You can do this through the following questions. What do I know? How do I know? Why is this significant? And how do these ideas connect to my main points of my writing? Let's look at an example. Suppose you're reading Hemingway's The Old Man and the Sea. For some context, this story revolves around Santiago, an old fisherman who lives in a fishing village in Cuba. After 84 days of not catching a fish, Santiago loses his dignity as a successful fisherman. His apprentice, for example, Man Lion, is no longer allowed to work with him, as his parents have forbidden him to do so based on Santiago's bad luck. Santiago decides to take his chances further out to sea, where he hooks a merlin. The enormous fish pulls the man and his boat further into the ocean as the two wrestle with each other for survival. Maybe as you're reading this, you might get a lot of ideas about the text that are all valid. For example, maybe you think that Santiago is likened to Jesus and he develops his theme of salvation through suffering. And you can see this on various pages. For example, page 121, where it says a mast fell across his shoulder. In order for you to put all this together, you need to organize your writing and make sure it's clear, with a claim, evidence, analysis, and relating your ideas back to the main point of your writing. Let's look at an example of this. In The Old Man and the Sea, Hemingway uses Christian imagery to associate Santiago with Christ in order to deepen the theme of salvation through suffering. After wrestling with a giant merlin for 5 days at sea, Santiago returns to his fishing village physically and emotionally exhausted. He then shoulders the mast of his boat and climbs towards his home. On the way, he falls and lays with the mast across his shoulder. Through connotations of heaviness associated with the mast, this image emphasizes the struggle Santiago has suffered in his battle with a giant fish. After hooking the fish, Santiago went hungry, toiled, or endured injuries so that he could catch it and restore his lost dignity as a successful fisherman. What's more, this message of suffering for the redemption is strengthened by the image of Santiago carrying his mast, as it alludes to Christ carrying his cross. According to Christian belief, Christ was forced to carry his own cross to his crucifixion, where he suffered so that humanity could be saved. Thus, when Hemingway uses the image of Santiago carrying his mast, he likens the character to Christ, which reinforces the theme that salvation is achievable through suffering. This is a great paragraph. For one, it has a strong claim at the beginning. Next, it has contextualized evidence that is embedded and cited. After this, there's strong analysis, and then the writing is related to the main points of the paragraph through the final sentence. All of this answers our key questions. For example, at the beginning, we know, what do I know? We know that Hemingway uses imagery, Christian imagery, to deepen the theme of salvation through suffering. How do we know this? Well, it's in the lines that he shoulders his mast and he falls and the mast lies across his shoulder. Why is this significant? Well, because it reflects larger parts of the story and it alludes to Christ carrying his cross on the way to his crucifixion. And how does this connect to the main points of my writing? Well, in using this allusion, he strengthens his theme as salvation is achievable through suffering. As you can see here, we've made sure our writing is clear by organizing it through those 4 components. Once more, claim, evidence, analysis, and then having all your ideas relate to your main points. There's a color coding system here, which I encourage everybody to try out. There's a highlighting your claim yellow. Is using pink for the part of your claim that explains why or how to make sure your claim is strong. There's blue writing for the contextualizing of your evidence, red writing for the writer's words, green writing for your analysis, and then black writing for your where you have related your idea back to your main point. But please, whenever you're writing your paragraphs, you have to remember these things. Keep your writing clear and make sure there's a claim, evidence, analysis, and is relatable to your main points by asking the following questions. What do I know? How do I know? Why is this significant? How do these ideas connect to the main points of my writing?